Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the grand finale of the STEM Alliance Dell PolicyHack Competition. This event, as you may hear from the name, is co-organized by the STEM Alliance and Dell Technologies. My name is Bjorn Bachmann, and I'm coordinating European SchoolNet's activities in the STEM Alliance, which is an initiative that brings together education and industry in Europe. Together with us in the room today, we have my colleague Yekaterina Shestitka, who will be supporting this event from a technical point of view. So if you have any issues with your audio or connection, please do not hesitate to send her a message in the Q&A window. But most importantly, it is with great pleasure that I'm welcoming our 4 finalists for today. Stella Magid Podolski from Israel, Jose Maria Beltram Gomez from Spain, Selçuk Yusuf Arslan from Turkey, and Anita Simac from Croatia. These 4 finalists will give the PolicyHack pitches and present their ideas to the panel of expert judges. And now, if you're like, what the heck? What is a PolicyHack? What is a pitch? And who are the finalists? Well, don't you worry, we will explain everything in a minute. But first of all, let me continue with some technical aspects. To get a greater experience out of this event, you can use live captions and subtitles. To activate these, you just need to go to your video controls and select captions or subtitles, and I put a screenshot here. You will also see a question and answers window, or a Q&A window, in your screen. If you don't see it, make sure to open it, because we will be sharing useful information and links with you there throughout the entire event. Also, if you have questions to the finalists about their pitches, please feel free to share them with us in the Q&A window. And here is already the first link we're sharing with you in the Q&A window. You can now click on the signature list to validate that you attended this event. This is to ensure that we can prove this event took place and so that we can continue organizing events like this one in the future. Also, after the event, we will send you a follow-up email with useful information, and we can only do that if you enter your email address here. Now, let us move on to the agenda for today. As you can see, we have big plans for the next 2 hours and a half. We will begin with a welcome and introduction from our expert judges, Mark Durando, Anya Monrad, and Vladimir Garkov from Dell Technologies, European SchoolNet, and the European Commission. And as promised, we will set the context of today's event and share more information about the STEM Alliance Dell Policy Hackathon and what happened so far. We will then come to the main part of this big finale with the 4 pitches from teacher finalists. Before, we will give some time to the jury members to consult the final winner of this competition. In the meantime, you will have the chance to vote for your favorite, and you can stay tuned for more information on Dell Technologies and the STEM Alliance. At around 12 o'clock, the jury will announce their decision, and I hope you are just as excited as I am about this finale. So, without further ado, I am now giving the floor to Executive Director of European SchoolNet, Mark Durando. Mark, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Great to hear. Now, the floor is all yours.
Good morning to all of you. Maybe can I ask, maybe there are some micro which are not muted, and it does generate an echo at my level. So if the colleagues which are there in the panel could switch off their micro, it would be appreciated. So it's a true pleasure for me to open this STEM Alliance Dell PolicyHack Finale event. So the STEM Alliance is one of the key initiatives set up by European SchoolNet and its networks of ministries of education in Europe with industry partners in order to provide concrete answers to the challenges of attractiveness of STEM studies and STEM jobs. This public-private initiative has been set up in order to first support the competitiveness of companies by ensuring a STEM-skilled workforce. Secondly, promote the attractiveness and importance of STEM jobs in all industrial sectors within our schools in Europe. Thirdly, improve and promote all existing industry education STEM initiatives supported and organized by industry. Fourthly, contribute to innovation in STEM teaching at all levels of education, primary, secondary, and also tertiary, mainly at the level of initial teacher education, by developing greater contextualization of STEM teaching and making STEM studies more attractive for young students. And finally, enhance industry education cooperation at national level across all member states. It is in this context that we have organized with Dell Technologies the PolicyHack Competition this year. This competition invited teachers from all over Europe to submit challenges they face on a local and regional level in their education practices. The following topics have been identified for this particular challenge: the learning environment and content, the skills issues, and the lifelong learning perspectives. Today, as Björn was mentioning, we will listen to the best proposals submitted during this competition and announce the winner at the end of this event. With the support of our major industry partners, we will continue to develop more concrete actions like this policy hack, as well as other initiatives where we can also associate practitioners. It is essential, especially within the STEM education area, that we could reconcile policies and practices and collect appropriate evidence on which we can base and propose policy recommendations to improve innovative STEM education approaches in all our education systems. I'm also very pleased to be associated today with Anja Monrad, Dell Technologies Senior Vice President and General Manager in Central and Eastern Europe, with whom I work also within the governing board of the Digital Skills and Job Coalition, and Vladimir Garkov from the Directorate General for Education and Culture of the European Commission. I'm sure that Vladimir will be the best ambassador to convey the right messages to put the STEM education challenges on top of the agenda within the next Erasmus Plus program. I also welcome our finalists for today, and I'm looking forward to this exciting session. Thank you very much.
And thanks a lot, Mark, for your introduction and your welcome words. Now, as you mentioned already, and as we know, we have 3 judges with us today. So I am honored to give the floor now to Anja Monrad, who is Senior Vice President and General Manager for Central and Eastern Europe at Dell Technologies. Anja, how are you today?
I'm amazing. And yourself, Björn?
I'm good. Thanks a lot. So the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Björn. And thank you, Mark, for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here today and represent Dell Technologies. For those of you who don't know Dell Technologies, we are obviously a technology provider. We're 160 plus 1,000 employees around the globe, represented in 180 countries. So truly a global company in the digital space. So I'm really excited to be here today because I'm really looking forward to hear some great pitches that will, have potential to modernize the learning environment and develop digital skills across Europe. And this topic is even more important this year, given the disruptions the global pandemic have had on the way we live, the way we work, but even more importantly, the learning environment in the past year. So according to some estimates by UNESCO, over 90% of the world's students were affected in school closures during lockdown in different countries, and in many cases still are. And this created huge logistical challenges in how to make learning work. But it also changed the belief that we may have had on how knowledge dissemination had to be in a physical room and that learning had to be limited to a classroom. But we also saw that access to devices, to content, to connectivity really showed some challenges across the world. And just being in the IT industry, I can tell you that we're working full steam still to provide enough computers for students around the globe to be able to learn and be educated from home. But it also has shown us that in the lowest income quartile in Europe, only 74% of the households actually have access to broadband internet. And that creates challenges when you have a learning situation like the one that we have experienced. And also only 39% of the teachers in Europe felt that they were well prepared to use technology in their daily work, which is obviously super challenging. Despite that, you know, the role of the teachers have really been to keep the boat steady during the last 2 or 3 quarters. And in many cases, the learning did not stop, and luckily for that, we've seen an acceleration of digital tools that have helped, you know, sustain and create engagements between students and teachers in these like simulated classroom-like experiences. But we've also seen that despite the fact that teachers have really stepped up for the challenge, many have really struggled embracing this whole new notion of digital classroom. And it has really exposed some huge differences, you know, in the way that students have been educated, very much dependent on the individual teacher's knowledge and experience level. And this key gap in experiencing digital learning, you know, has really been on the back of an absence of systematic investments into training and development of teachers. And many schools have not provided the teachers the required tools and infrastructure that would be needed. And although technology is super important, we need to remember that technology is never ever going to replace the teachers, but is going to enable them to do a transformational learning. The skills, as mentioned, are super important. And as Mark also mentioned, we're working together in the Digital Skills and Job Coalition Governing Board, where I'm the chairman. And a couple of focus areas here is really, it all starts with the schools, the skills. We need governments to ensure that digital skills are embedded in the school curriculum from early age. And this requires training of teachers and providing schools with the right technology. The next step would be choice of career, and we need to promote STEM-related subjects to young people in EU. So we make sure that they understand how to create technology and not just be users of technology. And then the next step will be reskilling and upskilling of the global and European workforce, which we've also seen in the last couple of quarters of pandemic, where everyone was sent home to work from home, how needed digital skills are. And last but not least, something that we've all experienced as we've been living our life through Zoom meeting and team meetings and digital like this, you know, it is the skills for all. We need to make sure that no matter whether you live in the metropole areas or you live in rural areas across Europe, that you can live and thrive with digital skills. So I'm super excited about what we're going to be hearing here today, and I hope what we will hear will inspire policymakers and really have a real impact on digital education. And I also want to thank you, Mark, and European SchoolNet for co-organizing this event together with us. And I look forward to be able to support and the implementations of the ideas that we will hear today in practice. So thank you very much for having us.
And thanks a lot to you also for joining us today and for being here. Now, you raised a number of challenges, and I'm curious if we'll be able to hear in the pitches some solutions to these challenges. So let's stay tuned for this. Now, we also have our third judge, who is an expert from the European Commission working in the Directorate General for Education and Culture, that is Vladimir Garkov. Vladimir, it is an honor to also have you here today with us. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Bjorn. It's actually my honor to be here. I really appreciate your invitation and being able in such to be in company of such interesting teachers and people who are working so hard towards what we call the commission. You know, the new commission has two important tasks. One is the digital transition, and the other one is green transition. Both of these tasks are intimately intertwined, and they're both linked to as we define in our key competencies framework. They both rely on the scientific way of thinking and the scientific and critical way of viewing the world using controlled experiments. That's the key issue here. And to be able to impart the idea of what it means to be modern man and a woman in this world where things are so complex, technologically moving with an extremely fast pace. So we really appreciate the work that STEAM Alliance has been doing for many years now, as well as this particular event, which is supposed to provide us with some insight of what is going on in the ground. I mean, it's very nice to be sitting in our little or maybe not so little chairs now at home even, but the challenges that our teachers are facing today are enormous. There is absolutely no doubt, as Anya mentioned, there is no doubt that teachers are irreplaceable. I even remember some studies saying that during the lockdown, 80% of the parents suddenly realized that the job of the teachers of their children is much harder than their own job. That's really, it's kind of a wake-up call how much work we still need to do to provide, as you guys said already, to ensure that teachers have both the digital and the pedagogical skills for what we call now blended learning, which is here to stay, obviously. We have to harness the ability of technology to deliver. As you know, it is a kind of a two-way street, but I would say even it's a very fine balance between harnessing the benefits and also trying to reduce the risk. Because we all know, of course, data are out there about our children's smartphone epidemic, which prevents them from really developing properly their social emotional skills, and the evidence is there for that. But on the other hand, ICT could be used to develop those skills in a way. So we are talking about uncharted territory, which requires a lot of effort on part of the member states as well as the European Commission. And I think Mark mentioned Erasmus. Yes, Erasmus is going to be increased significantly for the next funding year. We are talking about billions of euros, and also another issue that Anya mentioned, which is very dear to the work of the European Commission, is the fact that the COVID crisis, the measures that were taken, they affected the most vulnerable in a way that policymakers need to think. It's not just access to broadband. Yes, this is basic, of course, but when you shift a lot of the teaching burden down to the families, to the working families, it's one thing to be fonctionnaire at the commission, and another thing to be struggling between several jobs and at the same time having your kids at home. So it is a very, very important event today. I really appreciate to be part of that. Thank you.
And we do appreciate that you join us today as well. So thanks a lot. Now, as promised, we are now moving on with an overview. And before we listen to the finalists' pitches, let's set the context and what happened so far. So I'm therefore very pleased now to pass on the word to our colleague from Dell Technologies, Deepakshi Mehandru. And Deepakshi, how are you doing?
Well, John, how are you?
I'm fine. So now I will give you control of the slides. Let me know if it works. Here you go. So you should now be able to take the floor.
Thank you so very much, and a very good morning to all of you who have joined us this morning. I'm Deepakshi Mehandru. I am Director of Government Affairs and Public Policy for Dell Technologies. I'm based in India, and in many sorts, I would say it's wonderful that we have people from so many countries who have joined us for the Dell PolicyHack this morning. We just wanted to give you a quick overview of what PolicyHack is. And I just start by sharing that this is the 11th country that we are getting, the 11th large-scale PolicyHack that we are doing. We have already been to about 10 countries. We have had about 10 plus hacks wherein primarily the focus has been to come up with the right solutions. But to even figure out the right solution, the first step is to articulate the right problem. As part of the global policy jigsaw puzzle, I would say, it's always imperative that we understand how different stakeholders come together, formulate not just the solution, but also think about implementation. And therefore, this is one of our endeavors to really start a dialogue on where things matter the most. Without further ado, let me take you into what exactly are we trying to achieve here. So Dell Technologies, we stand for technology for human progress. We are very strong advocates for that. If eventually we cannot move the needle on how sustainable growth can happen, then technological prowess perhaps is good for nothing. And in line with our 2030 social impact goals, we have 4 pillars, of which the most important one also is transforming lives, wherein we want to use our skill to really go out and impact real change that can drive a significant impact in the world. So what is PolicyHack? And I'll just take about a minute. And all of you who are here today and who have even joined us today, we thank you for the last 2 to 3 days of rigorous brainstorm. Like I mentioned, we start with the problem, but when we were thinking about what should the EU and the European Schoolnet Dell PolicyHack should stand for, we were acutely aware of the challenges that COVID-19, the global pandemic, the global disruptions threw in our face, and how remote learning really changed the landscape, not only for students and parents, but also for teachers at large. And from this perspective, the idea was, can we come up with certain concrete answers? Can we think about continued learning in a disruptive format? Can we think about, with the resources at hand, how are we really going to tread the path further? And we have been acutely aware of the fact that any change like this, it would always require a multidisciplinary universe of stakeholders to come together. So when you would have gone through in your brainstorming sessions over the last few days, as teachers, you would have also engaged with policymakers. You would have exchanged ideas with industry experts, as well as from students who graduated from school just a couple of years ago. Now for today, the idea is, with all the conviction that you have, pitch your ideas to the jury members. You are the 4 finalists, you're all best on what you do. And our commitment is we are going to be active advocate for the solutions that come out today, along with European Schoolnet. With that, Bjorn, I pass it on to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Deepakshi. for your introduction. Now, after hearing this overview, and you also mentioned the brainstorming sessions, now let me dive a bit deeper into what happened in the past days that you mentioned. Now, this Tuesday and Wednesday, we organized 2 PolicyHack brainstorming sessions with the 4 finalists. But as you mentioned, we were not alone. The idea of these brainstorming sessions was to bring together different experts in the field to discuss and refine the ideas from the teachers and to come up with viable solutions to the STEM challenges that had been presented. Therefore, we invited experts from the industry and policymakers from ministries of education, as well as student representatives, to come together and bring in their expertise in the respective fields. And to structure the discussion, we started off with a kickoff event. Where everyone joined in the plenary before we moved actually to the breakout rooms with different themes. So first, there was time for some ideation. So the teachers presented their ideas and the participants of the brainstorming groups could comment on them. Then we entered a brainstorming phase, and here the participants were encouraged to actually be as creative and ambitious as possible, while at the same time being respectful, of course, and being attentive to each other. And to support this process, we used online tools like Padlet or collaborative slides online. You can see a screenshot here with virtual sticky notes and all the connections that we drew to gather ideas and to come up with solutions. And then we had a checkpoint where everyone came back to the plenary room, and the teachers gave an update on the discussions, which helped actually to stay focused, of course, but also it sparked some kind of competition spirit, because you could compare what the respective teams discussed in each breakout room. Then we had some more time to discuss the solution design in the breakout rooms again, before there was a second checkpoint. And finally, things got more concrete in the last phase, where we actually finalized the pitches and the ideas. So as a result of this process, we have the pitches that we will now hear from the finalists. And at this point, we are getting to the serious part of today's event. The 4 finalists will now present their pitches, one after the other, to the jury. They will have exactly 7 minutes. And here again, I need to stress that we need to be fair to everyone. So I will put on a timer and you will have exactly 7 minutes. When the time runs up, I will mute your microphone and I will cut your presentation. So bear in mind, this is a matter of fairness. Everybody has 7 minutes. Now, after your pitch, the jury will have 5 minutes to ask questions and ask for clarifications if needed. So don't worry, these questions, yeah, they're just to clarify some things, but it's also part of the hackathon experience. And if you have any questions as an audience and as an attendee joining today, feel free, of course, to post them in the Q&A window. We shall start with the first pitch on the topic learning environment and content from Stella Magid-Podolsky. Stella works as a STEM teacher in Tel Aviv, Israel, as well as a STEM teacher trainer at the Faculty of Education in Technology and Science at the Technion Israel Institute of Technology. Now, Stella, how are you today?
I'm fine, Bjorn. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good, and I will now pass on the word to you. I will put on the timer and give you control over the slides so you can actually control the slides yourself. There you go. The timer, sorry, let me move back. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, the time is running now. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Stella Magid-Podolsky. And our STEM challenge of our group: how can teachers effectively shift from traditional direct instruction to more constructivist approaches in teaching learning processes? So there is a problem in education. Although as teachers we teach in the 21st century, still most of teachers teach as they once did, through traditional direct instruction, even if they use ICT in their classes. And it's not good. We need students with lifelong learning competences. So the proposed solution to shift from direct teaching to constructivism. Why should we do it? First of all, benefits for society. We want longer-term investment and more efficient workers for industry, and maybe our Europe economy will be increased, especially after pandemic situation. There are some goals that we want to achieve. First of all, satisfied and creative students, and of course, motivated teachers. So we propose the process with 2 steps. First step will be the pilot. The pilot will include volunteer teachers, academy researchers, and industry members. 3 countries will be included in this process, and it will be 5 pioneer teachers per country. Also, the participants will be tasked with surveying, benchmarking of current existing practices and teachers' positions. And also, we want to identify barriers for further steps and for further steps of the project. So the pilot will include research steps that will have 4 intermediate steps. First of all, teachers will be exposed to educational research in the field of ICT and STEM education. They will implement their own action research in the field of ICT and STEM education in their class with their students. They will share the outcomes of their own research with other teachers at their school and with local policymakers. And according to the feedback of their peers, they will improve their teaching and learning processes with the emphasis on ICT. So also academy members have an important role in this process. They will research of the overall experience, they will evaluate it, and of course they will also have scientific papers for themselves. And as a result of this pilot, we will have a community of teachers with exchange platforms where we can share some good practices and ideas. And this pioneer teachers will mentor teachers in their country. We will finish with the pilot stage with dissemination and first steps toward mainstreaming with collaboration of ministries of education and teachers training organizations. The time frame for this pilot, 18 months. Other step will be the mainstreaming. During this step, the whole school's approach will start shifting from traditional to more constructivist approaches. At the end of this step, we will have clusters of schools and technology. ICT becomes a key because technology, it's not only computers and technical tools, but also different platforms, web-based modules that support constructivist learning process in education. So what's needed from you and which benefits you will have? School administrations, please support us. Allow your teachers the autonomy to design their own action research and help them in all their needs, and you will get more motivated teachers and students. Ministries of Education, please support, encourage collaboration between schools and academy. And the benefits, it will be complementary to curriculum reforms that promote STEM education. Researchers, academy members. Help us moving the process forward by collaboration with other parties, and you will have great educational researches and papers to yourself. Teachers, you will have professional development on ICT, technology, methodologies, and research. And also, you will have differential benefits due to your own needs and needs of your country. Policy recommendations. Please support the establishment of national or international educational research body, which will facilitate the collaboration and exchange among various stakeholders in this project that I mentioned before. And the last, policy recommendation, facilitate the creation of favorable conditions for schools, teachers, everybody, that will allow and motivate them to actively participate in such research projects. So thank you very much for your attention, and I want to thank my team that helped me to finalize my pitch and my idea. Thank you very much. Thank you again.
And thanks a lot, Stella, for your pitch. I will now take control back. Now, how do you feel after this pitch? I see you you were well in time. Perfect. Okay, so now thanks a lot for your pitch, and we now have time for questions from the jurors. So I will just ask into the jury. Does any of you want to start? Does any of you have a question already? Anya, Mark, or Vladimir?
Yeah, I'm happy to kick off. So Stella, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. Really, really good pitch. Can you just help me clarify? You said you want to choose 3 countries and 5 teachers. What is going to be the selection process of countries and teachers into the project?
Okay, Anya, thank you for your question. I think it will be countries who want to participate in such kind of projects, and teachers, pioneer teachers, who want to dedicate their time to such an easy process. But they're pioneering teachers. They want to try new things, and they want to spread the word in their countries. So we'll check with them how it's going, and then we'll go to final mainstream with more countries and more motivated teachers. But again, it's supposed to be countries who want to be implemented to this process, and teachers who are motivated and want to dedicate their time, energy to this whole research and practical process.
Thanks,
All right. Thanks for your answer, Stella. Now, Mark, would you like to go ahead?
Oh, yes, with pleasure. Many thanks for your well-structured presentation. So I understand very well the process and the move from conservatism regarding pedagogy of teachers currently to move towards more innovative pedagogies. But I'm more concerned by the way you will streamline and you will mainstream this project and these ideas. And I would like to know why you have not mentioned at all any actions vis-à-vis initial teacher education.
Actions with training centers too?
Training, so the training and of future teachers.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark, for your question. I want to tell that we thought about it during our brainstorming in our group, but I'm also press service teachers trainer, and today, during this day, for press service teachers to implement these ideas in their training in institutions. But in-service teachers, especially teachers who teach many years, sometimes they teach as they used to be. So for them, it's a little bit more complex process. So we put an emphasis on them. We want to help them to try new things and to try new ideas and to be involved in this process, because pre-service teachers that will be teachers in the next year or two, they already will enter to the system with these ideas and with these practices.
Thank you.
All right, and we now have also some time for a question from Vladimir.
Thank you, Bjorn. I really enjoyed your presentation. I appreciate it now. You know, to the move from construct problem-solving based, inquiry-based. There are different terminology that is being used over the years. Intrigued by your because of the connection to research. You would like to involve teachers in real educational research, together with academics, with policymakers, perhaps. So it is this fusion of different actors into towards trying to improve things is wonderful. This, you in your recommendation, you mention about ensuring or facilitating this involvement of teachers in research and trying to, you know how it is. Yes, teachers are the key, but teachers are extreme. How do policymakers, what kind of new, just an example of at all level that could.
Okay, it seems like the connection is we're having some problems with the connection.
Very okay.
Vladimir, could you repeat your question?
Yeah, okay. I will just move. I'll move to maybe closer to the router. My question is if there is any kind of an example of a policy action that could facilitate participation of teachers in research projects like that.
Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot. Now, Stella, very shortly, we don't have that much time before we move to the next pitch. So in 1 minute, please.
Okay, thank you, Vladimir, for your question. I made an emphasis on action research because I don't want teachers to go and do the researches of academy. I want them to bring their own researches from the field, from the school to academy, and then together with academy members to build and to design the research that fits their need and fits for their class and for their students. So my recommendation is to academy to collaborate, go with teachers' research and not only with your own researchers, not only with your own field interest, but also with your teachers in your country. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot for your answers, and thanks a lot for your pitch. Now, we will now move on to our second pitch, and this will also be on the topic learning environment and learning content. We have the teacher, Jose Maria Beltran Gomez, and he works as a professor of technology, head of studies, and ICT coordinator at the secondary school in Torre Don Jimen in Spain. Now, Jose Maria, how are you today? We can just hear you very faintly, but maybe try it again a bit more loudly. Perhaps maybe try to move closer to the microphone, but I think otherwise we can hear you.
Okay, ready?
Yes. Okay, I will give you control, and then you have 7 minutes from now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. We are ready for our presentation. We would like to start asking ourselves one question. This question is, why learning by doing? Well, because we find some serious problems in the classroom. Which problems? Lack of motivation and interest of the students. Students are taught, they don't learn. Repetitive teaching processes. And process is always memorization, retaining information, and students forget it, studied concepts. This is something that we think that we have changed. These causes lead to students not learning and not acquiring the key competencies. For this reason, we believe that learning by doing is implemented as an idea of change. In this slide, the next one is this one. Okay, here. Here we can see an experience of learning by doing carried out in my school by my colleague Jose Maria. This experience takes place in two different areas, Maker Day and Traveling Robots. In both projects, the students create experiences that they then present to primary school children, being active learners and learning by doing. Which are the results of this experience? The results are that we increase the students' motivation, we teach them to think, and they solve problems and challenges by themselves. Therefore, the best results arise from the curiosity to develop an idea or solution, from the experience of carrying it out in real life, from the discovery of new knowledge, encouraging their imagination, and being able to solve problems by themselves. So, which are our policy recommendations? The development of learning by doing requires teachers with professional skills to energize and organize the classroom, to guide the students as well as different skills. Which skills? Well, the use of active learning tools, the development of soft skills in students, the use of digital tools such as video tutorials, content augmented reality, gamification, virtual laboratories, etc. But also the use of technological resources such as computers, tablets, interactive whiteboards, microcontrollers, for example, Arduino, Microbit, Raspberry Pi, 3D printers, Lego, robots, educational kits, etc. Therefore, we can say that Europe needs a policy change in education. Why? Because the terms teaching and learning are being confused. Learning is not directly proportional to what is being taught. Teaching students cannot be only linked to assessments through exams, and standardized assessments have to be banned. To solve these problems, we propose the following solutions. Flexibility of study plans. We have to promote interdisciplinarity and cross-curricular subjects. To create a framework to develop projects outside the school. Modernization programs from technology and programming. Active methodologies such as project-based learning to teach higher thinking skills and knowledge. A strong commitment to STEAM subjects and teacher training in active methodologies. In learning by doing, from university to continuous learning by the teachers. As a conclusion, we have to make deep changes in educational systems. Implement active methodologies, favoring learning by doing, and train teachers in active and digital learning tools and technological resources. As a consequence of all of this, Europe will be the future of competent men and women able to face challenges from the perspective of leadership and the ability to create. And then, and only then, Europe will be the future for the world. Thank you very much for your attention, and that's the end of my presentation.
Thanks a lot. And I forgot to mention, of course, that Jose Maria was joined by his colleague Ramon, with whom he worked in a team to develop this STEM challenge. So thanks again for your presentation. And also now we have 5 minutes for questions from the jurors. So do we have one of the jurors who would like to ask a question already? I see Mark, you are ready, so please go ahead.
Yes, many thanks, Jose and your colleague for this presentation. And I will not focus on the positive elements of your presentation. I will more try to challenge you on some operational aspects. For me, if I understand properly, one of the key critical success factors of your recommendation is to find an appropriate process for training teachers. And again, how are you going to organize it and to mainstream it? First, for the in-service training of teachers in activity, but also for preparing future teachers on the pre-service side. I group my questions there. Your idea is marvelous, and we saw that from the research that offering active learning at the level of learners and learning by doing generates more interest, both from the teacher point of view as well as the student point of view. But how are you going to solve the traditional conservatisms linked to the curriculum mapping of the STEM programs?
Well, we think that learning by doing shows us that in some respects, the important thing is not just to bring about a change in the study plan or in the curriculum, but rather to bet on changing the way of teaching. I think that it's very important to close the gap between the industry and the education sector. And from the STEM disciplines, I think that with a methodological change on the part of the teachers and the implementation of modernization programs, we think that an educational revolution will be created. And in this respect, this will lay the foundations for a change in the curricula of the European countries in order to relaunch the culture and the innovation.
All right, thanks a lot. Now, Anya or Vladimir?
Yeah, no, I actually had exactly the same question as Mark had on training the trainers, so I'll go somewhere else. But thank you so much for your pitch. You mentioned the use of technology, of Lego, of other things. that's obviously, one of the things that I also mentioned in the beginning, but that has a financial impact. So how do you see that being actually feasible of rolling out? Because I'm pretty sure that if we had unlimited resources, we would have much bigger use of infrastructure and technology in the learning system today. So how do you see that going forward?
I think that we have to overcome, because at the moment we think that we are in a digital transition, and it's important for teachers not only to have those pedagogical skills, which are very important, but also to have the digital skills. And we need to support the project with resources. We need the appropriate resources to make children learn and motivate them, because we are sure that when children have the appropriate resources and when they are motivated, they learn better. And moreover, if they learn by doing, not just receiving content, but practicing using that content, this will improve the long-term retention, and they will learn how to work with things. I think that the idea is to prepare our students for the future. The future is constantly changing. The future is here. So we must prepare them for all the challenges that they are going to face in the future industry.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
All right, and very quickly before we break for a short break, Vladimir, please go ahead.
Well, I was certainly, there is no doubt that learning by doing is the best way. I was only struck by one sentence that you had there: to all the assessment exams to be banned. As we all know, of course, in science, everything is known only in comparison. So certainly the methodology, the way we learn should be changed. However, I just wanted to confirm that you do not mean not to use assessment tools that actually measure the way of thinking, if not the content. Just like PISA, for example, doesn't focus on the content, but on the skills. So in that sense, you mean, I just wanted to clarify what you mean by this banning of standard assessments.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I completely understand your question. Probably I didn't express myself properly. When I'm talking about assessment, of course, the students have to be assessed, but the idea is that the traditional methods of assessments, just memorization, repetition, and the students studying something by heart and then put it in an exam, it is no longer useful. We have to make our students competent. They have to be able to do things in the real world. And we have to assess that they are able to do things, not just memorize and reproduce. So in that sense, to be able to be competent in different fields, in different subjects, it's the important thing. That's why we are talking about cross-curricular contents and interdisciplinarity. It's necessary, it's a must that we don't just focus on our subjects, but that we teach them the interdisciplinary aspects of the subjects, and to assess them, of course, but not in the traditional way of just filling an exam, but learning how to do things, not just memorization. I don't know if I have explained myself.
Yeah, this is clear, of course. I mean, we talk about competence development.
That's right.
We don't talk about memorization of content. And this is how the key competencies have been defined already in the European framework of key competencies for lifelong learning. Thank you.
All right, and thanks a lot.
Nowadays, more and more people are transforming the way of teaching, but at the same time, it is true that there are still some teachers who are doing things more traditionally, and we have to fight to change the way of teaching the way of learning, and the way of assessing.
That's what Jose Maria and Ramon say. So thanks a lot for your pitch, and thanks also for your clarifications. We now have seen two of the pitches, and I am very impressed by the quality and the creativity of the presentations that we've seen so far. What we will do now is to have a short break of 10 minutes until 10 past 11 Central European Time. So if you're located in a different time zone while you're joining us, please be aware it's 10 minutes from now. So we'll see you back after a short break. See you then. All right, it is 10 past 11, and we are now moving on with these pitches and with this event. So I hope you had some time to refresh yourself and to get ready for the next two pitches that we will now hear. We will move on with our third finalist for today, and that is Selçuk Yusuf Arslan, who will present his pitch in the topic of skills. Now, Selçuk Yusuf works as a computer science teacher at a high school in Ankara in Turkey. And Selçuk, how are you today?
I'm fine, Bjorn. Hello, everyone.
Good to hear. Now, let me just give you the controls over the slides and get the timer ready. Are you ready, Selçuk?
Yes, I'm ready.
Then the floor is all yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Selçuk Yusuf Arslan. I will give a presentation about my idea, improving social emotional skills with ICT in STEM education. First of all, I would like to give some information about myself. I'm a computer science teacher in Ankara. I'm also a PhD student at Hacettepe University at Educational Leadership Program, and also I have been a Scientix ambassador. My presentation flow is as seen on the slide. First, I will talk about the ideaton phase. Later, I will give brief information about social emotional skills and its importance. The most important part of my presentation I will give as a policy proposal, and I complete my presentation with question and answer part. I interviewed with 16 participants in ideaton phase. These 16 participants consisted of teachers, NGOs, and academics. Then I did a comprehensive literature review. The ideaton phase was completed this Wednesday. This Wednesday after an amazing hackathon session with expert industry representatives, students, and ministry representatives. In STEM education, we see that generally academic and technical skills are tried to be improved. While providing students with academic and technical skills, schools neglect social and emotional skills. According to research, the importance of improving social and emotional skills, as well as academic and technical skills of students in distance education. While it is difficult even in face-to-face education to gain social emotional skills to students, pandemic situation has become more complicated in distance education. So why are social emotional skills are important? In Joseph Durlach and his friends' research, which includes 270,000 students, a meta-analysis, which is designed to improve students' social emotional skills, helps students improve their social emotional competence. Besides, it increases their academic achievement by 11%. According to Wall Street research, almost all senior executives claim that social skills are as important as technical ones. According to Aspen research, 80% of employers state social emotional skills are as the hardest competencies to find. Moreover, social emotional skills are extremely important in building a healthy society. They support students' well-being, they ensure active participation of students in learning processes. In a nutshell, in the future, social emotional skills will become essential. And now, as seen in the graph, the business world expects the time spent on social emotional skills to increase 33% by 2030. And now I will tell you about my ICT-supported local level policy proposal to the problem of neglecting to social emotional skills in STEM education. In this proposal, I will use online game-based solutions because social emotional learning, game-based learning, and gamification complete each other. Because it's existing it is exciting and motivating for students, allows engaging and collaboration for students, promotes students' creativity, supports students' progress at their own pace and personalized learning, provides students self-confidence, and besides this, it supports many social emotional skills. My proposal consists of 2 phases. The first phase is training teachers The focus group Bjorn, I cannot change my slide now. Okay.
Is it working now? Should be.
Yes, now it's working. Thank you very much. The focus group of this training is made up of STEM teachers, and in this education, teachers create their own content with game-based solution, and it supports social emotional skills, this content. Implementation of the pilot project with the second phase. It is planned to be applied to small groups. At a specific grade level, a particular STEM content is applied to the students work in teams and use game-based solution tools. At the end of the pilot project, clear learning outcomes occur. We don't know what awaits us in education after the pandemic. Okay. After the pandemic. That's why this proposal is designed for both online and hybrid learning environments. Evaluation is made both after training and after implementation. When the policy proposal is implemented, open education contents emerge. It is validated that the idea works. The process must be progressively measurable. Skill transfer takes place by this way. Skills that will be important in the future, such as working in groups, building a positive learning environment, sparking interest, collaboration, can be gained in STEM education. Thank you for your attention.
And thank you, Selçuk, for your pitch. You were very well in time. I see I can reset the timer already here and take it back. Perfect. So thanks a lot. And as for the other pitches, we now have time for the questions from the jurors. So I would like to ask Vladimir, do you have a question for Selçuk maybe? As we cannot hear you right now, maybe let's move on to Anya or Mark.
Okay, I can definitely go.
Go ahead.
So thank you so much for an amazing presentation. You have a lot of views of technology in your presentation. How are you going to finance and engage, you know, the usage of technology? How are you going to make that feasible and approachable in the solution?
Thank you very much for your question. For example, we can use some example tools, and these are free. There are countless tools that primarily use, for example, virtual reality technology. I can count Kahoot, Quizplickers, Minecraft, Code Game Lab, even Scratch, which is a well-known application, can be given as an example. And designing a user-friendly interface is very important. For this reason, an interface designer expert is required in the project team. However, there is also need for an expert in gamification.
All right, thanks a lot. Let us move on with a question from Mark.
Yes, many thanks. Well, I'm a little bit puzzled by your presentation, I would say. I really understand the importance of social and emotional skills, and their integration in any learning processes is absolutely important. But I have difficulties to understand the distinctiveness regarding the STEM education sector. Because why should it be more applied to the STEM education sector rather than other disciplines? And that's something here where I don't find all the appropriate solutions or answers. Maybe if you could clarify that a little bit, it would be appreciated.
Okay. In the study, of course, policymakers should cooperate with the industry, both in teacher education and the pilot project, including the game industry that has been growing all over the world recently, will add value to this policy recommendation. With the use of game-based solutions, interest in STEM education will increase, and students' social emotional skills also will be improved. And it will be the industry that will be directly affected by this, which will gain qualified manpower. I hope I can answer your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think this has clarified the question. And having a look at the time, we now have used all the time for the questions on your pitch. So we are now moving on to the next and the last of the 4 pitches that we will be hearing today. Now, this last pitch will be given by Anita Simac, who will present her presentation in the area of lifelong learning. Anita works as a mathematics teacher at the Petra Preradovica High School in Croatia. Now, Anita, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Bjorn, and I hope everyone else is not too tired and ready to listen to my pitch, which is the final one for today.
I am sure everyone is ready. The question is, are you ready for the 7 minutes that you have from now on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, sorry,
shall
somebody else is moving.
Yes, let us move on to your first slide. Okay, perfect. Then the floor is all yours now.
Thank you, and good day to everyone. Today I will be presenting my proposal for overcoming the challenge of lifelong learning. With such a difficult new school year, it is imperative that an entire community is involved in the educational challenges and goals we face. We need a learning environment that is accessible to all. However, there is an obstacle that we must overcome: the fear of technology as a condition to enable lifelong learning. We all face an uncertain future. I'm sorry, it's a little bit slow. We all face an uncertain future. In order to overcome this and educate a community, the support of policymakers is a necessity. The answer to the complex scenarios we face lies, I believe, in the development of 21st century skills with technology. A meaningful, educational, technological and productive, open for all learning environment is missing in many schools. This, combined with the fear of technology, its capabilities and accelerated advancement, is the challenge we face. Fear stops us from growing and learning. Artificial intelligence is definitely one of the key factors that also includes hands-on and virtual teaching, learning assessment, and mentoring from peers and experts. However, this is still insufficient. It needs to be combined with the community, and the link should be found in schools. The learning of hard skills should also be supplemented with soft skills. In order to combat fear and achieve a sense of personal fulfillment, lifelong learning can be achieved. This is learning for life during your lifetime, encouraging curiosity and motivation, celebrating diversity, inquiry, and equal opportunities. We are learning for ourselves and thus benefiting everyone. My recommendation would be to encourage the development and usage of lifelong learning hubs. These spaces would be situated in schools and yet open for public schools during after-school hours, there to explore local problems and issues and find solutions with the help of technology. These physical spaces would inspire learning. They would be flexible, warm, and inviting with configurable furniture. There with a vision to address local challenges so people have a sense of commitment, achievement, and a sense of responsibility. by bringing together people with a passion and a purpose of solving these local challenges. These would not just be future classroom labs in the classical sense, but spaces from people from different areas of life, a green environment, motivational spaces, somewhere to connect with people and technology. People need to understand that education should not start and finish at school, and there is a huge need for community awareness and openness to all the positive aspects of technology. This should include an environment in which training and learning is available for all, not only the young. This means not only a physical space filled with technology, but an environment that is inviting and community orientated. If our pupils face the challenge of hybrid or online learning, they should be able to rely on help not only from their teachers, but also other members of the community and even within their own family. Openness and flexibility need to be addressed, as does the importance of digital responsibility. Taking a stand to make a difference with a dynamic cooperation and a sense of purpose is essential, and learning needs to be democratized for all, and collaboration should be encouraged. Schools need to incorporate emerging technologies into their classrooms, thus enabling innovative, motivating, and engaging learning experiences. The plan I envisioned involves a wide-ranging choice of workshops and activities to be held in these hubs. They would be provided by experts, both virtually and hands-on. There would be a program also of mentorship between students and the young and senior citizens, because learning should be a two-way street with cooperation, collaboration, and connectivity. So not only computer literacy, but developing transversal skills, which are so wide-ranging, from civic education and personal and social development, health education, ecology, climate change, and even learning how to learn. Sustainable development definitely is very important. The possibilities and needs are boundless. None of this is possible without support, which is necessary for such an ambitious vision. These spaces require cooperation and help from experienced individuals, groups, and communities. The challenge is to ensure that the hub is truly universal and widely accepted in the community as a source of education, but an open and flexible learning environment. Connecting schools with society and stakeholder involvement would guarantee a sense of commitment towards the local community. As a conclusion, the fear of technology and its advancement is hindering many in their quest for lifelong learning. But by developing a cognitive space and an inclusive environment in the form of a lifelong learning hub, this fear can be overcome, with an initial phase of pilot testing in several schools in Europe, where we would connect with other such future classroom labs or sense, then this fear can be overcome and European lifelong learning hubs could possibly become a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And here we go. Thanks a lot. And again, we have time for questions now. So I would like to ask Vladimir, do you have any question that you would like to ask to Anita?
Well, I apologize. I had some technical issues here.
No problem.
I had to start my computer and I missed the beginning, but I found this particular page very interesting and very timely. The issue of the whole school approach to education is being on the very high up on the agenda of member states as well as the policy makers at the European level. So my question is basically, did you create any type of did you find any type of evidence where this approach has actually changed the outcome of our educational efforts?
I haven't found any such conclusions because this is something that is completely new. In Croatia, the Ministry of Education and the Croatian Academy of Research Network had started to implement regional educational centres. Now, this would be a beginning, this would be a first step, but my view would be, as I think I mentioned, not a classical future classroom labs with much technology, but a space where people from different areas of life would feel as if they belonged. And then I would connect this with the local community and local issues. So when people have a sense of purpose, when they have a problem they need to resolve, they need somewhere to go to. And this is how I envisioned this space to look. I can't see it not succeeding if we involved the local community and welcomed them into this space.
Thanks a lot. We also have another question from Anya Monrad. So please go ahead.
So thank you so much, Anita, for your presentation. Hey, I think it's a super interesting concept. The thing that I'm struggling a little bit with is, isn't it going to be very metropole oriented? And how are you going to spread out to more rural areas? I understand, obviously, in Croatia with the smaller countries, but in the bigger countries, you know, are this not going to be very exclusive and not, you know, actually being lifelong learning for all as one, and secondly, how are you actually going to drive traffic in there?
I would hope that it wouldn't be seen as a very exclusive area. This would be the whole solution by introducing several. I'm not saying that every school should have such a centre, far from that, but they should be strategically placed in certain areas of the country, and that there should be a system where these spaces would be open and actively sought out by all the different areas, as you mentioned, rural areas, because each part of every town of every country has some kind of personal issue that they need to resolve, and technology is, I think, a big factor in this. So in some aspects, it doesn't have to be all done hands-on. Of course, that is definitely a benefit, but with such a space where you could virtually reach out to other schools. We're very lucky in Croatia at the moment because there's been a big push on technology, and I would say almost all schools have internet access. So I can't see that aspect being too much of a problem, but it would depend upon pushing the local community in each area. So it depends on people. Thank you for your question.
Okay, I see Anya nodding, so I think this clarified some things.
Okay.
And we now also have some time for Mark to ask a question.
Yes, many thanks. I like the concept, the hub concept. And I find it very interesting, even though I'm always doubtful on the facility of such a concept being mainstreamed, because it will impose radical changes. But for me, my main question is, your proposal is going much beyond STEM education, because it applies to any areas of education. So is there any particular additional element which makes such a concept even more relevant for STEM education?
Thank you for your question, Mark. As a STEM teacher, I truly believe that STEM can be applied in almost every aspect of school, in every part of the curriculum. Definitely, all subjects complement each other. That is what I strive to achieve in my teaching by collaborating and working with teachers, not only from STEM, but showing teachers from history, geography. It really does not matter to me personally which subject it is, but I truly believe that STEM can be applied and technology can work collaboratively with every subject. So I think it's not a niche in itself.
Yeah, I fully understand, but then maybe it would have been good to mention the concept of integrated STEM education.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay.
I wish I had a little bit more time.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the rules of the session.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is true, and of course we're all working here within a limited amount of time, and that makes also part of this competition. But I think you did great, and thanks a lot for your presentation. Now,
Björn, you're muted.
Let me just check. It seems that Björn have some technical difficulties. Björn, are you back?
I am back.
Great.
So before we move on to the jury consultation, or actually this is what we're doing now, so I was just checking if the breakout room is there. So with this, thanks a lot, Yekaterina. I will pass on the word to you. And I will ask the jury members to join me in the breakout room, please.
Thank you, Björn. Let me take the floor from Björn right now. Just a second, I will upload my video so you can see me. Hello, everyone. One more time. Thank you very much for joining our STEM Alliance Dell PolicyHack Competition finale. And right now we came to the most intriguing part as determination of the winner. And while jury has their consultation in the breakout room, we prepared some more information and also a small activity for you. Right now, and in Q&A window, I will share the link to the poll by which you can choose your favorite pitch of today. So please follow the link and vote for the most interesting pitch in your opinion. And in few minutes after, we will share the results of audience vote. So please go vote. We're very curious to know what do you think about today's pitches. In the meantime, so you have time to think, to reflect on today's presentation and vote, I would like to give a floor to Dipakshi, who will now introduce to us Dell technologies and their activities. Dipakshi, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ekaterina. And congratulations to all 4 people for such great pitches. I'm very, very enthused, and I think you would see a lot of what I plan to speak in the next few minutes also influenced heavily by what we heard over the last 1.5 hours. So to begin with, let me just, talk about something that 2 pitches today also focused on. We really are looking at being geared up for the future. We are really looking at how can we gain skills that keep us relevant, not only today, but perhaps for times to come. And a lot of that really changes with the learning inputs. A lot of that really gets into the hard wiring of how we think, how we approach things. So while this is a viewpoint from the education perspective, technology always ends up playing the role of an enabler. Technology as a standalone would really do nothing unless the person using the technology can really figure out what the future will be. And with this, let me share a glimpse of what we think are going to be the 3 pillars that define what the future of work will be in the next 10 years. Of course, you would see a lot of determinations around 2030 in a lot of surveys, in a lot of thought leadership articles. But the next 10 years are actually going to be really, really transformative, especially given the amount of data that we are generating, the amount of personalized instructions that are going to become the new norm, as well as the more focused on The higher focus on how do you really chart out an individual course of action despite being relevant in what is happening. So from a Dell Technologies point of view, we feel that there are three pillars that are really going to drive how we think about the future and specifically education. The first one being inclusive talent. When we talk about inclusive talent, and I'll draw a reference from pitch number 3 from today, wherein socio-emotional learnings are really, really critical. What makes SEL even more critical is that we are headed towards an era that really is talking about human and machine partnerships. We are not really going to be different. We will have to be collaborative. We really have to build onto each other's strength. And when I say human-machine partnerships, perhaps a big chunk of how machines will evolve is also based on the human element. It would be important to figure out what are people's unique capabilities. How can you really look at compatibility with the new technology? How can you really build for the future in the future? The second important pillar here, and I think this is again something that was very interesting, and this was there both in pitch 1 as well in pitch 4. The focus on immersive community collaborations, where you talk about, or for that matter, where you really focus on how the work of the future is going to become more productive. How are you really going to find meaning in what you're doing? How are you really going to be rooted in the reality of what your community needs, what your larger ecosystem needs? Where does your nation really see the next priorities? And that is really going to give the real time, the merger of humans and machines that I spoke about in pillar 1. That's way to real-time immersive collaborations. And we need to prep our students for that. And more than students, we even need to start thinking about our teachers' capacity building from that lens. And the last part, really, we have been hearing about artificial intelligence for a long time. And we do hear about a lot of emerging technologies that are going to come and really change the way we work, to change the way we think. Artificial intelligence, perhaps, even when we talk about mimicking certain decisions, or when we talk about making decision-making easier, or how really solutions are going to work in the future, whether it is on the STEM side or even in the humanities side, it would be important for the students of tomorrow really to understand how AI works. If not how AI works, then at least how can they leverage that to do what they're doing? And at that level, perhaps, and I'll bring in the pitch 2 here, you really need to think transformatively to build a transformative world. Now, these are very, I would say, jargonized terms, the way I put it. So let me go to the next slide and let me drill it down in terms of what does it mean for education. Over the last year, that is 2019, we held a similar policy hack in India, where over 700 teachers participated. We did that in about 4 cities in India, and of course, India being the world's 7th largest country, we did try to create a motley of issues that came in. And at the same point in time, when we were presenting the ideas to various multilateral organizations, the key disruptors in the last 2 years that really kind of came about, especially in the post-pandemic days, the one big challenge that I think every educator as well as every student faced was the issue of access. We have built smart schools, we have built smart classrooms, but the minute access to school got blocked, there were communities at large that got derived of the basic access. And when I say access, it's not just to a device. It's also to connectivity, internet. It's also to find time to really be able to devote to education. And the minute I talk about not so affluent countries or not so affluent socioeconomic classes, it also really opened a chasm of, it really urged us to think what is diverse and inclusive education in times of today. Not everybody had the same levels of access, and perhaps when we talk about the number of students and educators who faced difficulties, that was one of the key challenges that we faced this year. The second important bucket here, of course, was also capacity. And while we have spoken a lot around the capacity of students and teachers perhaps in the last 2 hours, equally what the global research is, the global reports and the advocacy programs that focus on is capacity building and learning mechanisms also need to change at a school administration level. School administrations also need to be nimble enough to figure out where the technology is really leading and how can they actually help their teachers become better at what they do. At the same point in time, we cannot leave the element of payments, because today when you look at the value chain of how, from a socioeconomic perspective, access builds, there are countries, and I'll use the example of Ghana that was shared very recently at a briefing by UNESCO. They're using radio and television signals very well to deliver content. But then the minute you get one level up, there is a use for smartphones. You get one level up, there's a use for laptops. You get one level up, there's use for a lot of immersive ways of learning. But at each level, the capacity of both the school, the teachers, and the parents to guide the child really were key differentials when we talk about this. Very quickly, on the third point, on content. When we talk about content, ample researchers prove you learn the best when you learn in your mother tongue, at least in the formative years. But when we talk about the content that is available today, and it has really changed by, the quality of content has really gone up, but do we really have a lot of vernacular content today? And very surprisingly, while this was something that came out in India, a couple of weeks ago, the same issues also came out in a European context, because English is not the first language for a lot of countries here. And I'll quickly move to the last part, that is community, which really became the backbone of how we focused on disruption this time. That is peer-to-peer learning, not just for students, but also for teachers. So many teachers actually found solace in figuring out they were not alone in this. There were other educators, other teachers who were facing similar issues. The entire spirit of community, or for that matter, the entire spirit of innovating something locally relevant, something that can speak to the ground, that really became a differentiating factor in education. And when we talk about this, perhaps the more interesting part is we all feel these 4 issues have been relevant or specific to a specific country or in your own environment. Researchers show these are all global phenomena. So what we are here doing today is really learning from each other, is really seeing how can we build one another up, how can we really take one great spark and build it into something else. On this note, let me leave you with not a very quick one, but a 4-minute video on how we went about the policy hack in India. And I just hope you resonate with some of the findings that we had there. Ekaterina, over to you.
Technology, as we know, has disrupted every industry, including the education sector. More so in these unprecedented times when tech innovations have transformed the way education is imparted. Digitalization and e-learning are creating new experiences around learning, teaching, and knowledge sharing. But amidst all these changes, the big question is, are the educators in India equipped for this rapid evolution? Today, there is a dire need to orchestrate an education model that addresses the looming challenges, ranging from lack of training to keep pace with the rapidly evolving digital era, to making education accessible, inclusive, and resilient, to reimagining the role of teacher-led peer networks. Issues such as technophobia, hesitation to create indigenous content, and perception that technology can make teachers redundant have been impeding the transformation of education sector in India and world over. Understanding these imperatives, Dell Technologies hosted the first ever policy hack in India, in partnership with UNESCO Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education for Peace and Sustainable Development.
Compassion training is where we make the students link with the outside world, because you've got to do something. You just don't want to talk about doing it, you have to actually do something about it.
With an aim to foster actionable dialogue in the education ecosystem, the first event took place in January 2019. With a focus on how teachers can deploy technology to augment education, the Policy Hack brought together teachers, think tanks, government policy makers, edtech entrepreneurs, innovators and scholars on a common platform to find holistic interventions.
What I've seen about the Dell Policy Hackathon is that it's an amazing platform for teachers, for policymakers, for corporates to come together and discuss about how technology can be used and leveraged to improve the quality of education that we are providing to all students and teachers across the state.
Organized across 4 cities, Delhi, Guwahati, Pune and Vizag, the hack successfully curated a discussion on recommendations on how teachers can leverage digital means to their advantage. Participating teachers enthusiastically presented their ideas to a distinguished panel of judges comprising representatives from a cross-section of education landscape.
All of us really have this noble duty to do our best for these children, and these kind of brainstorming sessions really help in finding better solutions to the present problems that we face.
It has changed me as a person, because I always thought that teaching is monotonous and stagnancy is coming and creeping over me, and with these initiatives you feel alive again.
And the experience is brilliant. You feel enriched, you feel as if you're a part of a big platform, and you're being honored.
With 700 plus teachers participating from across India, the Policy Hack received an overwhelming response. This series was curated in alignment with Dell Technologies' 2030 vision of making progress real, leading us onto the path of transforming winning proposals into reality. After all, empowering educators will empower students for a digital future. We have a long road to tread, and we are committed to creating technology that drives human progress.
Thank you very much, Dipakshi, for your presentation. That was very great to hear, and thank you for highlighting the place of technology, the role of technology in transforming education today. This was great, and also thank you for sharing the video, I think, in which we saw the finalists of previous Dell Policy Hacks. Thank you for that. On this great note, I would like to take the floor myself and take a few minutes before jurors complete their decisions. And I would like to tell you a bit more about STEM Alliance initiative. I know as a fact that today, as a participants, as spectators, we have a lot of teachers and a lot of educational stakeholders who already aware of what we do in STEM Alliance, what are our goals and objectives. But for those who are new to our initiatives, I would like to briefly introduce STEM Alliance to you and show the opportunities for your professional development and professional activities within STEM Alliance. The key idea of STEM Alliance is to bring together industries, ministries of education, and other educational stakeholders. And that's how we all together can pursue the goal of promoting STEM education and STEM careers to young Europeans, and also fulfill the gap of future skills that we can see right now within the European Union. Few key facts about STEM Alliance. It was created in 2016. It's coordinated by European SchoolNet, and it's a continuation of a successful Ingenious initiative. And right now, STEM Alliance unites together 17 industry partners that you can see on our slide. And all of our partners share the same values, the same idea of promoting STEM education in Europe. Of course, I think the question, why should we do, is not new for you. And Mark already in introduction explained that, of course, STEM education is extremely relevant nowadays. And we know for a fact that companies right now, they struggle to find motivated and skilled employees. And of course, this lack of employees on the market, it creates a bigger problem of a global size. And the uniqueness of STEM Alliance initiatives is that we try to approach this problem from the perspective of primary and school education. At the same time, there are different initiatives who more concentrating on the skills and interest in STEM education of higher education students. But as you know, we have a lot of events that we propose, especially for primary and secondary school level. And on the slides, to continue my thought about the careers, you can see the list of jobs that, of course, they didn't exist 10 years ago. And this is one of the points why it's important to increase interest of young students in STEM subjects, what we do all together. STEM Alliance has 7 key actions that you can see. We run different activities for professional development of teachers. We organize conferences, online events, campaigns. We run pilot projects. But of course, you can ask, what is it for you? What is it for you as teachers in these actions? Well, there are some initiatives that you can take advantage of, and I know that many of you probably know about them. Regularly, we organize webinars with our industry partners. And in these webinars, you have a unique opportunity to meet professionals in science, in STEM, that you maybe would never meet in the real life. And they explore the subjects on STEM careers and skills, and they give the real examples and examples from real career paths in STEM that can inspire both teachers and students. For instance, this fall we had a series of webinars with European Petrochemical Associations and Association, and the participants of this webinar had an opportunity to watch presentations on on very important topics nowadays, such as women in STEM, for instance. And if you missed some of our webinars, be aware that you can check our STEM Alliance website and watch the recordings. And also, we propose an idea to watch these webinars together with your students. That can be a great activity in your classroom. Also, so you know, we regularly organize different conferences and events that you can learn more when we announce them through our social media, newsletter, and our website. And also, I would like to say a few words about our campaigns that we run every spring and every fall. And as a matter of fact, right now, you're a part of our fall campaign Back to School, and that's how we organized current STEM Alliance Dell PolicyHack Competition in 2020. One more thing I would like to add, it's our pilot projects. And right now we have a great project on board, Aerospace in Class, and we promote new innovative resources that teachers can use in their classrooms for the topics of aerospace education. And I would like to reveal this small secret that soon, next year in February, we will announce the massive open online course, Aerospace in Class, and you'll be able to join this massive open online course with the goal to learn what is the best way to integrate these latest resources in your professional activities in your classrooms. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on our social media, check our newsletter and our website, of course, as I mentioned. This is our team, STEM Alliance team, so do not hesitate to contact us in case you have any questions or you want to know more about our activities. This is all from my side about STEM Alliance. I hope I could give you a good overview on our activities, and as I mentioned, be welcome to participate in our upcoming events. And right now, let me check. I think our jurors still need few minutes to complete their decision, and I understand why. Of course, all 4 pictures, they were excellent, and I think you will agree with me that all of them gave great practical examples of the solutions to STEM challenges. And for jurors, it can probably it's extremely difficult to choose the only one winner of STEM Alliance Dell PolicyHack. In the meantime, I would like to remind you to vote for your favorite pitch via the link that I shared a while ago in Q&A window, because just in a few moments, we will share the result of your votes, and I think it will be very curious to see which speech was your favorite today. Of course, all our finalists did a great job, so do not hesitate to share your feedback on the pitches in Q&A window. I think all of them would be very grateful if you could comment on their entries and share your comments. It's always nice. I would like also to share with you information that all of these speeches will be included as policy recommendations for policymakers. So we will make sure that all of the projects are heard, and all of the projects will maybe inspire or give ideas for actions to policymakers. And of course, the great opportunity of STEM Alliance Dell PolicyHack is that we could hear the perspective of different stakeholders. We know that in policymaking, it can be challenges sometimes to change the perspective of the viewer. And during this week, during these hackathons, it was the time to industry, Ministry of Education, student expert, and teacher to work together to try to brainstorm what can be the best solutions to STEM challenges presented. And I think it gave us a very good overview on that. So far, I see that we still need a couple of minutes. I hope you as curious as I am to know who will be the final winner. And I hope that our finalists are ready for this announcement as well. Let me just check what we have right now. In the meantime, just to make sure that we can organize this kind of events further, please do not forget to fill in the signature list that we shared with you in Q&A window. This will help us to prove that the event took place, and we'll be grateful if you could spare a minute of your time to do that. I see that we got some questions. Let me just address it. There is a teacher who is asking in Q&A window, are the STEM Alliance activities are open to all teachers? And the answer is yes. The STEM Alliance activities are open to anyone, but in every activity, of course, we have a focus group, a group for whom we develop our activities. For instance, the MOOC that I mentioned during my presentation, Aerospace in Class, it will be designed for secondary school teachers who work in the field of STEM education. It is open for everyone, but this is the group that we determined that would be the most interested in this MOOC. All other activities, please check them out, and they are all open and free to participate. Like this STEM Alliance Dell PolicyHack that we announced in summer, it was open for entries from anyone, and that's great that a lot of teachers among Europe took this possibility to submit their entries. And even though it was only 4 finalists who were picked to participate in hackathon sessions and in the competition finale, there were a lot of interesting ideas and interesting projects that would be great if teachers would pursue in implementations. I see that we have more comments from the audience. Thank you for that. I see that Anna says that all the projects presented were inspiring and were presented to us very suggestively. I'm very happy to hear that. I agree that all the projects were great, and teachers, they did a great job in collecting all of the ideas of their colleagues and also participants of the roundtable during hackathons. And let me just address one more question that I received from the audience while jurors come to the room. I see the question, can other companies join the STEM Alliance? Yes, absolutely. If the company is interested in promoting STEM education in Europe, we would be happy to have this company as a part of STEM Alliance. So please don't hesitate to contact Bjorn Bachmann as our project manager in STEM Alliance, and he will guide you through the next steps.
Absolutely. And with this, I thank you very much, Yekaterina, for this transition. Now, we are moving on to the announcement of the winner, and I can tell you there has been some great discussion about who will win today's competition. But before I pass on the word to our jurors to share the best points on the pitches and to finally announce the winner, I would like to share the results of the audience vote. So thanks a lot, everyone, for taking part in this poll. And I have to say it's quite exciting to see what happened here. I blocked the results so far, but let us start with the fourth place of the audience vote. That is a pitch number 2, Learning by Doing and Education by Jose Maria Beltran and Ramon. The third place, according to the audience, goes to pitch number 1, Stella. Congratulations. And this leaves us with 2 more pitches who will take on the first and the second place, according to the audience. Of course, the jury may decide differently, but we will see that in a minute. Now, the audience would favor very closely pitch number 3. So thanks again for the audience for your thoughts here and for the results of this poll. And congratulations to Selçuk and Anita for taking first and second place, according to the audience. But now, let us have a closer look at what the jury decided. And before we announce the final winner, that is something that Anja Monrad will do. Before we do that, I will pass on the word to Mark Durando, who will share the best points on the first and second pitch.
Yes, many thanks, Björn, and first of all, congratulations to all our finalists. I'm not sure the jury analysis reflects the same way the difference concerning the vote of the audience, because there has been very positive points on all the 4 presentations, and I have in charge of trying to share with you the very positive point proposed by our first 2 presenters. So concerning the first project from Stella, one, we have to stress the importance given to innovative pedagogies, and what is also absolutely important is to move from some conservatisms in terms of traditional teaching towards more innovation in terms of developing innovative pedagogies. And a very interesting point in the presentation is the methodology proposed, and the methodology is based on a co-construction process, and that's quite important too. And the research proves that whenever you go with co-construction, when you associate practitioners, automatically you are in a better position for later on having a large-scale adoption of the innovation which are developed. The ecosystem proposed via committee of teachers is also a very strong point proposed, even if one could say that the originality was not so much, but it's a solid way of organizing the mainstreaming processes. So that's congratulations, Stella. Quite a lot of positive points on your presentation. Moving now to Jose Maria. So again, the main positive element is to promote learning by doing and to center all the activities around the concept of active learners. Innovative use of ICT has been at the core of your presentation, and one very important element, and I personally fully support this analysis, is the revision of assessment processes. And that's something that I take the opportunity for this closing session to say that if we innovate in our education systems on the curriculum, on pedagogy, there is one area where we are still too much conservative, and that's the assessment area. And the gap, also the last positive element was the gap between industry and education, and your proposal was trying to address to a great extent how to close the gap. So congratulations again. That was a very interesting presentation with a lot of very positive elements, and I'm sure that you will continue to be one of the best evangelists for promoting learning by doing. Many thanks.
And many thanks to you, Mark, for sharing these points. Now, let us continue right away with the best points on pitches 3 and 4. And for this, I will pass on the word to Vladimir. So, Vladimir, please.
Yes, thank you, Björn. Certainly, all 4 presentations were really very good. We had a interesting thought. Each one of us of the jury had his or her own way of looking at things, the criteria, which is very personal. So all of us, we are biased in many ways. However, having said that, I would like, in terms of the 3rd pitch, point out that I personally was struck by the counterintuitive approach to the issue of STEM education. Normally, when we talk about science and mathematics, which is the core of instilling the most responsible aspects of education, which instilled a critical way of thinking and the ability to decipher between facts and fiction. And then, especially in the context of the modern world, which is overrun by technology, by screens, by innovation, which is constantly being introduced. So how and why what is the connection? And of course, I was really impressed by the presentation, which made clear evidence-based explanation why, by addressing this development of social emotional skills using ICT technology, which normally doesn't help developing those skills, according to the evidence of some studies. This is a huge challenge. This is an interesting challenge, which is original, and it was presented well. Some ideas were already presented as the ways to tackle this challenge. So overall, I feel that this was a very, very good approach, innovative approach to STEM education. The last pitch, what I felt was important is the ability to connect across discipline, the multidisciplinarity, but not only that, to connect with the wider community, which is a point of reference for many years now, has been the point of reference. How do we really reach out and create a working, effective relationship between all actors around the school, creating the hubs to be able to harness the positive energy that comes from the other disciplines. Again, just like with the social emotional skills, we are looking here at a very, very important aspect of teaching and learning in a more holistic manner. As they say, the liberal arts approach to education is not in silos, but in a two-way street, constantly getting feedback from our work with students, but also the community and parents, if you wish, industry, technological firms. And again, technology here plays a crucial role. Of course, technology is only the tool. We are not trying to promote those skills for the sake of being fluent in them, but to be able to harness their potential. So that's my 2 cents.
Thanks a lot, Vladimir. And now we're coming to the moment that we have all waited for. Now, so many teachers across Europe have submitted their ideas. Only 4 of them have been selected to join the PolicyHack sessions as finalists, and only 1 of them can be the final winner for today. Now, Anya will share the result, and yeah, the decision wasn't easy, was it?
It was definitely not easy. So I want to start by just congratulating all 4 of you for getting to this point. As Björn said, there were so many that wanted to be part of this, and just being part of the last 4 is a great achievement in its own, and a testament of the great idea and the hard work that you've put into this. We had a very, very tough discussion. The decision was very, very close. So we ended up with a solution that is that we want to start off with a runner-up announcement, because we actually felt that there were two solutions that were very, very close. So as a runner-up, we want to congratulate pitch number 4, Anita. for a very, very strong presentation, as just mentioned by Vladimir. We were blown away by the strong community involvement, the opening of the schools, of bringing in the local community, and all of the points that Vladimir mentioned. So Anita, congratulations on being the runner-up of this hackathon and this policy hack. But there is only one winner, and in this case, the jury have selected pitch number 3. So Selçuk, congratulations of being the winner of the PolicyHack Finale this year. We were really amazed by the idea, and especially the combination of the social part on the social skills on one part, and the STEM and technical skills on the other part, and bringing those two together and really creating a 1 + 1 = 2. The elements of bringing in teachers training into your pitch, and the use of technology and also open source to make this more broadly approachable. So congratulations so much to pitch number 3 and Selçuk.
Thanks a lot, Anya, and also from my side, of course, congratulations, Selçuk. Now, would you like to share some words with the audience and the jurors, Selçuk?
Thank you very much. I'm very excited. I have been awarded some national hackathons before. This is my first international hackathon award. I thank Janet, Julian, Zoe, and Takis for supporting this policy proposal with excellent ideas from here on Wednesday. I would also like to thank the European Schoolnet, Dell Technology STEM Alliance, and my scientific family. I hope that together we can offer a more qualified STEM education. And congratulations to my fellow finalists, Anita, Stella, and Jose, for their great ideas.
Thanks a lot, Selçuk. And as the decision was so close, and we have a runner-up as a finalist here, I would also like to congratulate, of course, all 4 finalists, but as a runner-up, Anita Simac. So congratulations. And at this point, I want to congratulate all the participants who made it this far. We now come to the end of this event, and this bears the question, what is next? What will happen is that we put the results of this competition, and especially the 4 pitches, into a report with concrete policy recommendations and project proposals. This report will be published next year after it has undergone a deliberation process, and it will be put forward to policymakers. Now, if you haven't done it yet, I would like to ask you again to validate your attendance in this workshop via this digital signature list. Only if we can prove that you attended today, we will be able to continue organizing events like this one in the future, and we will be able to share all necessary information with you after this event. Also, we would like to know what you think about this event, and we are now sharing with you the link to the feedback survey in the Q&A window again. As mentioned, we would really appreciate if you take about 3 minutes of your time to share your thoughts and feedback on today's event, so we know how to improve in the future. And with this, thank you so much again, Stella, Jose Maria, Selçuk, and Anita, for your amazing pitches. Congratulations to Selçuk for having won this competition. But thanks also to Dipakshi and Yekaterina for your presentations. And of course, thanks a lot to the jurors, Mark Durando, Anya Monrad, and Vladimir Garkov. Thanks for joining, everyone. And that's it from my side. Take care, stay safe, have a nice day, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Bjorn.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.